Have you ever wondered why, sometimes, even when everything seems aligned for joy, we find ourselves standing in our own way? It's a perplexing, almost paradoxical phenomenon, the tendency to sabotage our own happiness. This behavior can feel mysterious, even irrational, and yet it is profoundly human. Understanding it doesn't just illuminate the quirks of our minds, it offers a pathway toward compassion, growth, and self-awareness. Today, we'll explore why some people, despite longing for fulfillment, seem to consistently undermine it, and what this pattern reveals about the human psyche. At its core, self-sabotage is rarely about a conscious desire to be unhappy. Instead, it often springs from deeper psychological currents, shaped by past experiences, ingrained beliefs, and emotional coping mechanisms. Many individuals who struggle with this behavior grew up in environments where safety and validation were conditional. Perhaps affection was granted only when achievements were met, or mistakes were met with criticism rather than guidance. These early experiences can cultivate an internal narrative that suggests I am only worthy when I earn it, or if things go too well, disaster is inevitable. Over time, these subconscious messages become embedded in the way a person interprets success and joy. Happiness, instead of being a natural state, becomes a fragile, almost threatening concept, something to be cautiously approached, but never fully embraced. In adulthood, these internalized beliefs often manifest in subtle yet powerful ways. A person might find themselves drifting away from meaningful relationships just as intimacy deepens, or rejecting opportunities that could lead to fulfillment. They may procrastinate on projects they secretly desire to complete or create conflict in otherwise stable situations. It is not unusual for someone to question the validity of their own achievements, thinking, I don't deserve this, or something bad is bound to happen if I allow myself to feel this happy. These behaviors are, paradoxically, protective mechanisms. The mind has learned to anticipate disappointment, so it preemptively erects barriers to shield the individual from potential hurt. While this strategy may have been adaptive in childhood, in adult life, it often becomes counterproductive, restricting growth and authentic joy. Interestingly, the psychology of self-sabotage is closely intertwined with fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of one's own vulnerability. Emotional comfort zones are deceptively comforting because they feel familiar, even when they are constraining. For someone who has experienced unpredictable or conditional love, stability may feel unnatural, and the brain can respond by nudging the individual toward chaos, tension, or dissatisfaction. In effect, the mind confuses discomfort with safety and equilibrium with threat. This is why patterns of self-sabotage often repeat across relationships, careers, and personal goals. They are guided by deep-seated neural pathways that equate risk-free unhappiness with protection. Another significant factor lies in self-esteem and identity. Many individuals who disrupt their own happiness harbor an inner critic that operates silently, yet powerfully, in the background. This internalized voice may echo past criticisms or societal pressures, constantly questioning whether one is worthy of pleasure, success, or love. Even when external circumstances are supportive, this internal dialogue can drive a person to reject joy because it doesn't align with the identity they have internalized, an identity shaped by inadequacy, shame, or self-doubt. As a result, achievements feel empty, compliments feel undeserved, and happiness feels transient or illusory. Self-sabotaging behaviors also serve as a form of emotional regulation. For example, if a person anticipates that success or joy will be fleeting, they may unconsciously engineer setbacks to match their internalized expectation of disappointment. In this way, disappointment becomes predictable and manageable. Paradoxically, the pain of self-sabotage feels safer than the vulnerability of genuine happiness. This pattern often manifests in everyday life in small, repeated actions, choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, postponing career goals despite readiness, or engaging in self-critical thought loops. The behaviors might seem irrational from the outside, but within the individual's psychological framework, they offer a sense of control over an unpredictable emotional world. It is important to recognize that self-sabotage does not exist in isolation. It affects personal relationships, professional opportunities, and overall mental well-being. A person who constantly undermines their own happiness may find themselves in cycles of relational instability, career dissatisfaction, or chronic anxiety. They may feel stuck, oscillating between desire and avoidance, yearning and retreat. Loved ones may feel frustrated or helpless, not realizing that the struggle is not with them, but with the individual's internalized fears and beliefs. Over time, this pattern can lead to a profound sense of disconnection not only from others but from oneself. Yet understanding the roots of self-sabotage is also the first step toward transformation. The awareness that these behaviors are learned and maintained patterns, rather than inherent flaws, allows for a sense of agency. Growth begins with compassion for oneself, a recognition that the mind's strategies, though sometimes painful, originated as protective responses. Mindfulness, journaling, therapy, and reflective practices can help individuals identify when they are unconsciously acting against their own interests. Recognizing these patterns allows for conscious intervention, pausing before a self-defeating choice, questioning the inner critic, and exploring healthier ways to cope with vulnerability and fear. Another crucial element is reimagining one's relationship with happiness itself. For many, joy has been coded as fragile, fleeting, or dangerous. By intentionally exposing oneself to positive experiences, celebrating small successes, and internalizing messages of self-worth, individuals can gradually retrain their emotional responses. Happiness, once feared, can begin to feel safe and sustainable. Similarly, reframing failure as a learning experience rather than a personal indictment allows the mind to approach life with curiosity rather than apprehension. Over time, the repetitive cycle of self-sabotage loosens, replaced by intentional, self-supportive behavior. Equally, cultivating supportive environments, relationships, workspaces, and communities that validate and affirm can counteract the internalized belief systems that fuel self-sabotage. When others mirror acceptance and understanding, it challenges the subconscious narrative that one is undeserving. It becomes easier to take risks, embrace vulnerability, and allow oneself to experience joy fully. And importantly, progress need not be instantaneous. Healing is rarely linear. Even small victories, like recognizing a self-defeating thought or taking a step toward a long-avoided goal, can accumulate into significant transformation over time. Ultimately, the psychology of self-sabotage is not a story of personal failure, it is a story of survival, adaptation, and the resilience of the human mind. It is a behavior rooted in past pain, yet it exists within a landscape of hope. By understanding the mechanisms that drive self-defeating patterns, acknowledging the fears that underlie them, and consciously choosing new ways to respond, individuals can reclaim their agency over their happiness. This journey requires patience, empathy, and courage, but it is a journey toward freedom, a freedom to embrace joy without guilt, to pursue love without fear, and to allow oneself to flourish in ways that were once unimaginable. So if you find yourself standing in the shadows of your own happiness, take a moment to observe, not judge, what is happening. Reflect on the fears, beliefs, and habits that may be steering your choices. Remind yourself that these patterns are not permanent, that they are learnable, and that change is possible. Treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer to a friend, and acknowledge each small step forward as a victory. Over time, the barriers built to protect you from perceived harm can be dismantled, replaced by pathways that invite fulfillment, peace, and genuine joy. Your mind has survived challenges before, and it can learn to survive, thriving, not just enduring, the delicate and beautiful experience of happiness.